My 36 male wife passed away 5 years ago. Now it's just me and my daughter Sophia, teen. When my wife passed away, her family was great support and helped a lot. Around the time my wife died, my sister-in-law Claire, 37, had lost her husband due to prostate cancer. We bonded during that time, and I thought the relationship was platonic and made it extremely clear that I wasn't ready for a relationship, especially with someone who was related to my wife. Sophia and Claire's birthdays are 5 days apart, but Sophia's is first. For Sophia's birthday, I got her a car. I knew she wanted it for a long time, and she's been doing fantastic at home and school. For Claire's birthday, I didn't get her anything and sent her a happy birthday text. Claire got extremely angry at this, and the next day she told me I was an idiot for not getting her something, but getting a teenage girl a car. I told her Sophia was my daughter, so obviously I would get her something for her birthday. I also didn't think it would be a problem because she didn't get me anything for my birthday either. Claire ended up telling her whole family about the situation. I texted her a long paragraph telling her I'm not her husband and didn't owe her anything. My mother-in-law told me I shouldn't have said that to her because she's still grieving and I'm her only support. I asked around and people told me I was the idiot. I honestly don't think I am because I feel like I didn't do anything wrong. Not the idiot. What did your sister-in-law get your daughter? Or your mother-in-law? Nothing. What about mother-in-law and father-in-law and the rest of sister-in-law's family? And I'm slightly concerned that your sister-in-law is jealous of your teen daughter over a birthday present. Supporting a woman through the loss of her husband doesn't make you the replacement husband, especially if you're not doing the things a husband and wife do together. Your daughter is priority number 1 through 5. Everything else starts at priority 6. And some woman you're legally but not actually related to, losing an opposite gender spouse makes for a great rom-com movie setup, but not the basis for an actual relationship, especially if you're not interested. That's the funniest part to me. LMAO. She wanted a car-level gift from you and got you nothing? At least try, Claire. And you're not grieving? You're also not her only support, since people were calling you on her behalf when she complained to them about this. Grief doesn't excuse treating people like that. Unfortunately, the people that are enabling her are even worse. Claire's text to you was absolutely ridiculous and also rude. On what planet does she compare to your daughter? As for your mother-in-law, that comment about being your sister-in-law's only support right now is strange and manipulative. For one thing, doesn't mother-in-law consider herself part of the support system? But even without that, it's very strange that a 37-year-old woman has nothing in the way of friends or family to support her. So maybe that text gives a clue as to why. Agree. They both lost spouses around the same time. Why does he have to be her support system? Especially when he has a daughter to support. Not trying to be callous with this comment, but after 5 years, she still needs a big support network for her grieving? I think it's time to take a step back from the sister-in-law. She's inserting herself into your immediate family. I, female 36, married Jeff, male 39, 2 years ago. He has a daughter, Alicia, teen, from his previous marriage, and I have a daughter, Morgan, tween, from my previous marriage. Alicia isn't close to Morgan or me, and she always has something to be upset about. For example, when Morgan and I moved in with her and Jeff, she tried to control where we could and can't go, what areas I was allowed to redecorate and put my furniture in, what room Morgan got, etc. Her excuse was that she wanted to keep the house how her mom left it as much as possible. Her mom is healthy and alive. Alicia sees her weekly. Jeff asked us to be more patient, and she'd come around eventually. She did come around, but still tries to control other areas of my and Morgan's life. I had a million conversations that ended up with her throwing a tantrum. Finally, Jeff talked to her and told her not to try to control what Morgan and I do, ever, and she agreed. Morgan's birthday was 2 days ago. We planned to celebrate at a restaurant and let Morgan choose which one. She picked a really nice restaurant that isn't over the top expensive, and we agreed the party would be there. However, when Alicia heard which restaurant we were going to, She went off on Morgan and me and said that we couldn't go to that restaurant because she had tons of memories of her perfect old family there, and she won't let us taint the memory for her. I found this beyond illogical and unreasonable. I told her she could stay home, but it wasn't about her being there. It was about the idea of Morgan and me being there with Jeff as a family when it used to be her mom, and Jeff. We got into an argument, and Jeff told me to tell Morgan just to pick another restaurant. But I snapped and told him Alicia had no right to dictate where my daughter and I went, and he shouldn't be encouraging her. He told me he wasn't encouraging anything, just trying to keep all parties satisfied. He told me to get Morgan to change the restaurant or he won't go. That was it for me. I decided I wasn't going to change it just because they wanted me to, and ended up going with Morgan to celebrate with just my mom. Morgan, of course, felt upset her stepdad missed her birthday celebration. When I pointed this out to him, he argued that I gained nothing by insisting on this particular restaurant and upsetting Alicia, who's refusing to speak to any of us, even him, and ruined his relationship with Morgan. I said it was Morgan's choice, but he said I was the adult in this situation and had failed to navigate it. Am I the idiot for still going to the restaurant, although Alicia forbids us from it? I just wanted to make Morgan feel like she had a say and a right to spend her birthday however she wanted. Not the idiot. Tell your husband he needs to be an adult and a parent and not let a teenager run his life. That being said, is Alicia seeing a counselor at all? If not, it sounds like she could really benefit from some professional help. Alicia's on a power trip and trying to exert control over you and Morgan. The idea that she should be able to dictate what restaurant you and Morgan go to on Morgan's birthday is laughable to say the least. Jeff is abdicating his role as a father to placate his daughter. He either lacks the will or the courage to take her in hand. He's the one that ruined his relationship with Morgan. He chose to placate Alicia over celebrating Morgan on Morgan's birthday. He's not a good father. Agree. I'm very concerned about this kid and the parenting happening here. At that age, parents have 1, maybe 2 years left to prepare their kids for the real world. This kid does not appear in any way prepared for real life, and dad is doing them active harm by not responding appropriately. Alicia is very wrong. She's mourning her perfect family. She hasn't seemed to accept that her father's moved on. It sounds like Alicia and dad can both use some family therapy. Everyone's the idiot here. You're right that she doesn't get to dictate your life, but I don't see any empathy or consideration for a child that has had major upheavals in her life, only scorn that she's illogical and unreasonable. This isn't about logic or reason. It's about a child who feels out of control, unloved, and unsafe. There are a lot of conflicts here and no empathy or concern. You and Jeff are adults. Act like it. Okay, this doesn't sound good, but hear me out. My toddler was invited to her preschool classmate's birthday party at an indoor playground. We did arrive 10 minutes late since we got lost trying to find the place, but we happened to arrive at the same time as 2 other families, so that it could have looked planned. The birthday boy's mom was irritated because we missed a treasure hunt. Unfortunately, there was no schedule given, so I didn't realize it would be a big deal if we were 10 minutes late, or would have rushed more. We all did make sure our kids wished the birthday boy happy birthday and passed him his presents, but they immediately ran towards the train ride once they were done. It turns out the mom wanted to organize a group photo shoot with the kids, so she was annoyed they ran off. The kids then could do whatever they liked for maybe 10 or 15 minutes before we had to follow the itinerary we didn't realize we had. The kids had 2 group rides, which always came with a photo shoot before each ride. Then they were free to play for another 5 to 10 minutes before going for another photo shoot with the cake. Then the parents had to take photos. Our country still had indoor mask mandates, but we were told it's legal to have masks off for photos, and we were ordered to take off our mask. Then we had the cake cutting and another round of photos before food was served. It hasn't even been 2 hours, and we've had 4 photo taking sessions, taking up almost an hour. My daughter didn't want to eat, and I could see she was losing it, especially since there was a spread of beautifully decorated desserts that weren't offered to anyone at all, so I wouldn't let her touch them. I figured I should just leave before I ruined the party, since we had already had 2 meltdowns in the last 10 minutes. But my daughter leaving triggered her 2 friends asking to leave, which triggered even more kids demanding to leave. So the party ended up getting cut short by 30 minutes. The mom is obviously angry with me, and I agree I did ruin the party, and I knew if my daughter left, there's a chance I'd trigger that snowball effect. And yes, I believe it's important not to expect society to cater to my child's whims, and it's my job as a parent to make sure she behaves. But I think she had been doing a fantastic job, not running off and doing her own thing. I found the entire party stressful and not fun at all, so I figured my kid probably feels the same. So, am I one of those entitled moms here? So not the idiot. This wasn't a child's birthday party. This was some Instagram mom's photo op. The whole day sounds hideous to me as an adult, so I can't imagine how little kids with the attention span of, well, little kids would feel about such a staged and choreographed birthday party. P.S. When you left, I bet every other mom thought, thank God, now we can go. The birthday kid's mom seems like a helicopter mom who needs to chill out. Also, what activity starts and ends with the first 10 minutes of a toddler's party? So strange. You aren't responsible for other kids wanting to leave because yours does. That's on those parents. We're all trying to do the best we can, and it sounds like that's what you did. Don't lose sleep over this one. Good Lord, who expects a bunch of toddlers to follow a schedule? You might as well put 20 cats in a room and expect them to behave. And props to you for removing your child before the meltdown. That is responsible parenting, and it's becoming extremely rare. So I, 27 female, am getting married to my fiance, 27 male, in a little under 3 weeks. Everything has been going amazing with the planning, and I'm ecstatic about the day. My best friend Cassie, whom I've been friends with since we were 10 years old, is my maid of honor. She is truly one of the sweetest people I've ever met, and has stuck with me through everything. She's been the biggest help in planning this ordeal, and I wouldn't trade her for the world. However, I've never been the biggest fan of her girlfriend, Sophie. I always show her respect and try to include her in things, but she's a huge introvert, and sometimes it can come off as disrespect in return, Cassie's own words. But they always seem very happy together, so I hope she warms up to me a little in time. They've only been together for over 1.5 years. Several days ago, Sophie approached me, asking me if I'd be okay if she proposed during my reception. She claimed it would be an excellent way for Cassie and I to bond more, having our weddings linked and all of that. Not that we need any more time to bond, she's already my other half. I love Cassie, but I'd never allow anyone to do that. So I shut the idea down immediately, and Sophie got all cranky with me and left. She said something along the lines of, "I don't need your permission anyway," and walked out the door. I feared she'd attempt it anyway, so I went to Cassie. Needless to say, Cassie was mad. I've never really saw her angry, but she was livid. She apologized profusely and said she couldn't believe Sophie would ever think of doing something like that. And that was the end of our conversation. However, 2 days ago, I got another call from Sophie, berating me for spoiling her plan to propose, and was informed that Cassie would be attending the wedding by herself and is currently not speaking to her. I was concerned that wasn't the entire story, so I called Cassie. She was a mess, and she was staying with her parents right now, and disinvited Sophie as her +1 because she was scared Sophie would have proposed anyway, given a chance, and she didn't want to ruin my wedding. I told her to come stay with me for a while instead, and she showed up several hours later, still a complete mess. She said that she and Sophie had a huge fight, and she was reconsidering whether she wanted to stay in this relationship. According to Cassie, these huge fights are a common occurrence. I feel awful for ruining her proposal and potentially ruining her relationship. Cassie's been picking herself up in front of me and continuing to be great with the last-minute to-dos, but I've caught her crying when I'm not around. I love her and don't want her to resent me for this, so I need to know, am I the idiot? And is there anything I can do to fix this? Not the idiot. I feel like if Sophie had accepted your no and graciously left a conversation, you wouldn't have mentioned anything to Cassie. But the spiteful, "I don't need your permission anyway," was rude, selfish, and entitled. It's your wedding, and it sounds like Cassie fully respects that it's your day and that Sophie was in the wrong. Proposing at someone else's wedding is never a good idea, and you were right to tell her you didn't want her to. Sophie's reaction was way out of line, and I don't blame you for going to Cassie to ensure it didn't happen anyway. The fights they've been having are on them, including this one. If Sophie can't stay stable in the relationship, that was never on you. Being the catalyst argument that split them up, I could see why you're feeling guilty, but the last straw is never the only straw. It was going to happen sooner or later. You inadvertently did Cassie a huge favor. My girlfriend, 24, recently got a new dog. It's a giant 120-pound Great Dane. The dog is massive. I, 23 male, admittedly am not an animal, especially a dog person. However, she and I don't live together, so I assumed I'd be able to adjust my feelings about this for her. So the dog pretty much became a child to her. She's always too busy, tired, or whatever to do things because of the dog. She never wants to spend the night at my place anymore because she doesn't want to leave the dog. And when I go over, she's pretty much only occupied with the damn dog. So I went over last night to spend the weekend with her for our anniversary. She didn't want to go out because of the dog. At night, we were getting ready for bed, and I wanted to have some alone time with her, but she didn't want to kick the dog out of the room because apparently it has anxiety and doesn't like being alone when it can hear or smell her nearby. So I gave up on the alone time and just wanted to sleep. While I was getting ready for bed, the dog got in with my girlfriend on my spot. The mutt took up the entire space, and I couldn't lay down. I tried moving it, but it wouldn't budge. Finally, my girlfriend told it to get down, but it refused, and eventually she just gave up. I asked her where I was supposed to sleep, and she said I could sleep on the floor or her couch in her living room. So I went into the living room, sat on the couch, realized how stupid this was, and went home. A few hours later, I got a text asking where I was. I told her home. We got into an argument about me leaving for our anniversary. She accused me of being jealous of a dog. I told her I wasn't jealous, but she gives all her time to an animal. Am I an idiot? Not the idiot. It sounds like both the dog and your girlfriend could benefit from some professional dog training. Telling a dog to get off the bed and ultimately giving up is doing more harm than good in the long run and not addressing the anxiety. I would have gone home too. If I want to sleep on a couch or a floor, I'll crash at a friend's place, not my significant other's. If she won't get her dog out of bed for your anniversary, she really doesn't care about you or your relationship enough. She's breaking up with you, but making you do it. Agree. I love my dog, but he doesn't sleep in my bed. He's a 60-pound golden retriever, and there would be no room for him, myself, and my fiance. A Great Dane is a whole person. Sorry, bro. Looks like Scooby-Doo snatched your girlfriend.